The Democratic Party is inherently rooted in evil, and they don't believe that they are because if you notice, most people on the very far left actually lack very common, basic U.S. history knowledge. One of those things being that Democrats were the ones who owned slaves and Republicans were the ones who freed the slaves.
Answer me this, Cruella. Who in our country is currently flying the Confederate flag? This literal symbol of black oppression in America. The flag that flew for people that were trying to uphold slavery. Who is flying that flag right now?
TikToker Good Trouble asked a question that was on all of our minds. Now, let's see how it holds up to scrutiny.
You know, people are always accusing Trump supporters of being violent or racist, but we're here at this Trump rally, and I just don't see it.
You see all sorts of cool stuff at Trump rallies. Like there's a license plate that says God, family, country, and then on the side of it, it's got the Confederate flag.
The Confederate flag, the thing to put out there if you want to bring this nation together?
The Confederate flag is a Southern heritage, and everything that's being divided and taken away from us, our Southern heritage, no, I stand against that. But it has nothing to do with racism.
Are you pro-slavery or against slavery?
I have no comment, but thank you for the interview.
Well, would you look at that? Not a member of the far left, let alone a centrist Democrat in sight. It's almost like there's a long, documented history detailing how the two political parties flipped policies in the post-Reconstruction era and continue to evolve with the election of FDR and the social progress made by the heroes of the civil rights movement. Just like the first woman we saw, far too many Trump supporters are simply denying this history's existence.
Democrats were the ones that were for slavery. The Democrats were the ones that came up with the Jim Crow stuff.
Even if all of that were true about slavery, which party flies the Confederate flag today?
A lot of the Democrats.
You really think Democrats fly the Confederate flag more
than Democrats that, yes.
Overwhelmingly, you'll see a Confederate flag right next to a Trump flag. That's just how it works nowadays.
No, I haven't seen that overwhelmingly.
You really? Was it Democrats or Republicans trying to take down Confederate statues?
Confederate statues?
Which party was trying to take down Confederate statues?
What's the statue got to do with...
You're saying that Democrats are pro-Confederate, but weren't Democrats trying to remove Confederate statues?
Why are they doing that?
Because they're anti-Confederate.
No, they're not.
Why are they trying to remove the statues then?
Because they're trying to change the history of our country.
It is ridiculous and so infuriating to see that people legitimately think like the people we've seen so far, where you can push all the facts in front of them and they will still find a way to lie and not acknowledge what actually goes on in the country. Yeah, the Democrats, they're for Confederacy. They're for the Confederates. They like the Confederate flag. Then why were they trying to take down all these Confederate statues? Well, they were trying to change the history, of our country. What? Do y'all hear yourselves? But here's the thing. The Republican Party, they've done they've effectively weaponized ignorance and misinformation so well to achieve their political goals. And he was one example of that. And it's a bad thing for Americans who are at least sane, which brings us to this disgusting clown.
This is a Confederate monument. Many suggest it was designed and put in place to symbolize the reconciliation after the Civil War. It was taken away, as I mentioned, several years ago. Why was it important for you to bring that back to Arlington National Cemetery?
Because we recognize our history. We don't erase it, Will. We don't follow the woke lemmings off the cliff that want to tear down statues. We look at and learn from our history, all aspects of it. The Reconciliation Monument will return to Arlington where it belongs to recognize the service of Americans of all chapters. So we're not tearing stuff down. We're done with that. We're putting statues back. We're putting paintings back. We're recognizing our history. We're restoring the names of bases as we've done across the country because we're proud of our history. As difficult as it may have been in some chapters, we're going to teach it, we're going to live it, and we're going to fight for it.
That justification that Hegseth gave for restoring this Confederate monument to Arlington Cemetery is laughable. You can't take him seriously. Because what he's signaling to the American people by promoting this is that the Confederacy should be praised and they should be held in a positive light. Even though they're the ones who are fighting to keep slavery alive. Even though they're the ones who lost. You don't need to have the monument out there. You don't need to have the reinstitution of Confederate names for Army bases. They lost the war. You can keep that in a museum and teach the full history of our society, of our history.
Love watching them statues get toppled.
I love it.
I don't even know why we need to pretend like there needed to be some orderly way to do it. That was the bomb. It wasn't terribly different than when they took them statues down to Saddam Hussein over there in Iraq. In fact, there's a few more of them I feel like that we could get to. The idea, and I think the part that's the most problematic, is to operate as though this is the history of our country that we're talking about and the people that we're naming about. No, it's some people that we beat down this one time. And so, no. We don't have to be orderly about it. We don't have to honor it. We don't have to do any of those things. My question in this real time is, who asked for this?
There are two moments in history where Confederate monuments, they spiked in terms of their being put up. And none of them were during the Civil War. The first period was 25 to 60 years after the Civil War, during the height of Jim Crow segregation in the South. This lost cause narrative popped up. Again, the reimagining of history, if you will, as it relates to the Confederates and who they really fought for, not America. And then the second time was in the 1960s, specifically as a backlash to Brown versus Board of Education. These pop up at a time to remind people of what used to be, what was, and for some, what could be again. Project 2025, the conservative Christian movement specifically, this is what they want to happen.
It's very clear that the Trump administration is reigniting the push to honor the Confederacy because they align themselves with losers, and the Confederacy stands for what they believe in, right? One, being a loser, and then also standing for keeping slavery alive and thriving, which is terrible. For Rebel HQ, I'm Chris Williamson. We'll see you next time.
Hello everybody, David Schuster here. Thanks for watching. If you found this reporting and commentary valuable, do us a favor and tap the like button. For more content like this, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. That way you'll be notified on your YouTube homepage when we drop a new video. If you are tired of corporate spin and want honest, people-focused news, click the join button below and be part of the fight for a better future. We wouldn't be here without your support. Stay informed. Stay engaged, and thanks again for joining us.